at your local Chevy dealer.
In tonight's rewrite, Donald Trump and animals. For the last 2 days, the President of the United States has been trying to rewrite some people into animals.
We have people coming into the country or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before.
Roberto Beristain worked his way up from a dishwasher at Eddie's Steak Shed in Granger, Indiana, until he could afford to buy the place, which he did. Roberto employed 20 people. He was a sponsor of the local Little League. He was married, raising a family, when he became one of the animals who Donald Trump talked about yesterday and was deported. Trump defenders immediately claimed that the president was only talking about members of the gang MS-13, which is not true. He did not limit himself to gang members when he was describing animals yesterday. But today, he did.
MS-13, these are animals. They're coming into our country, we're getting them out. When the MS-13 comes in, when the other gang members come into our country, I refer to them as animals. And guess what? I always will.
Here's someone Donald Trump has never referred to as an animal. He is the white supremacist who was arrested for speeding his car into a group of people in Charlottesville, Virginia, who were protesting against white supremacists and Nazis. He was arrested and charged with murder after he drove his car into that crowd and killed Heather Heyer. Donald Trump has never called the 18-year-old who killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida an animal. Kim Jong-un is suspected of ordering the murder of his brother and murdering countless officials in his government and being part of a family dictatorship that has starved hundreds of thousands of North Koreans to death, and Donald Trump does not call him an animal.
Kim Jong-un he really has been very open and I think very honorable from everything we're seeing.
Donald Trump is wrong. There is nothing honorable about Kim Jong-un. Nothing. But Donald Trump is right not to call Kim Jong-un an animal. Kim Jong-un is a person who has done very, very bad things. Calling people animals is an instinctual roar that comes from deep in the gut as the strongest language we can think of to condemn people. The history of human civilization is a very slow collective march toward enlightenment over instincts like that. Religion and law have played large parts in trying to control our most dangerous impulses. No one is an animal in the eyes of the law in this country. That is why convicted murderers are rushed into medical treatment or emergency surgery when they are injured or become sick in prisons. American law does not allow any of us to treat anyone in this country like an animal, but American law is imperfect. And Americans' belief in their own laws has always been imperfect. Americans used to turn out in large numbers to make a mockery of the Constitution and a mockery of American law by publicly lynching black men, women, and children, thousands of them, who those spectators all believed were animals. And a lot of those people would not have been able to enjoy a lynching nearly as much if they thought they were lynching people. And so they smiled and laughed and chatted and made small talk and enjoyed the thrill of the sound of the snap of the neck, because like Donald Trump, they believed that the people they condemned were animals. There are descendants of those people who enjoyed those lynchings, living in those same states where the lynchings occurred, the states that turned out and voted so solidly for Donald Trump. But there are descendants in those very same states, descendants of people who enjoyed those lynchings in those same states, who are ashamed of what their ancestors did, what their ancestors believed, and recoil at the sound of people like Donald Trump calling people animals. Such is the nature of the stutter step of human progress. No one would condemn Donald Trump calling people animals more than Jesus Christ would Christianity is filled with teachings aimed at stifling our gut instincts. Turn the other cheek. No country has made more of a mockery of religion, especially its historically dominant religion, Christianity, than the United States of America has. Virtually every enthusiastic attendee of a lynching in American history was a Christian, and many of them were relentlessly determined haters of other Christians. Many of them were Christians who believed that Catholics were animals simply because they were Catholics. Everyone can now see how perverse those forms of American Christianity were, and how perverse was their belief that the people they were lynching were animals. Historians and future Christians will look back on the President of the United States today, calling people animals 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and they will feel something similar to how we feel now looking at those lynching photographs. These aren't people, these are animals. You will never be able to forget that Donald Trump said that, because he promised us today that he will always keep saying it, and you know that he will, and you know that his rallying audiences will cheer him for it every time he calls people animals, every time. Donald Trump is clearly the least religiously literate person in the history of the American presidency.
I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian, and I go to church, and I love God, and I love my church.
Donald Trump doesn't go to church. Donald Trump plays golf. And he has no idea that the single most important concept in the religion he claims as his own, which was, at the founding of Christianity, one of its most revolutionary concepts, is that God lives in every person. Every person. And that is the concept that prevents Christians who actually understand Christianity from ever equating people and animals. Now, here's a trick question for Donald Trump. Who said, "Whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do to me"? Another trick question for Donald Trump, next time he's publicly showing off his Christianity, is, can you quote a single thing that Jesus Christ ever said? "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me, and I was in prison, and you came to visit me." If you went to Catholic schools like I did, you memorized passages like that. You memorized those words of Jesus Christ, and you remember them forever. But like everything else that students memorize, not all students understand those words. And so there are Christians today who are insisting that Donald Trump is absolutely right to call gang members animals. But to believe that Donald Trump is absolutely right, then you have to believe that your religion is wrong. That your religion is wrong about those people who Donald Trump calls animals, and that God does not live in those people, and that those people never have been and never will be the children of God. And on this one, you Christian followers of Donald Trump have to choose. It should be an easy choice. Jesus Christ did not say, "I was in prison and you came to visit me, but you did not visit these MS-13 gang members in prison with me because these are animals." So you Christian followers of Donald Trump have a choice tonight between the words of Donald Trump and the words of Jesus Christ, because no matter how hard you try on this one, no matter how much you torture yourself into trying to rationalize and manipulate Donald Trump's words, you cannot manipulate the words of Jesus Christ in the New Testament. And on this one, it is absolutely not possible to believe the words of Donald Trump and the words of Jesus Christ.